Hey everyone, Anthony Scott here at ToyHypeUSA.com. Today we are looking at FanHome's Iron Man subscription box number 22, which includes issues 83, 84, 85, and 86, as well as assembly guide number 11. Thank you to FanHome for sending along for review. This is greatly appreciated. To subscribe and for more information, you can click off the hyperlinks off of ToyHypeUSA.com or the link right in the YouTube description. Here's a closer look at issue number 83, as well as the parts we're going to be using for assembly. Inside this issue, Global Duel, Avengers versus X-Men. A continuation of this crossover event. About halfway through, we have a look at the parts and instructions for the build. Here is a closer look. You're going to be getting all these parts, bag of screws, and this is where it's all going to go. Here's a look at the instructions. Closer look. Make sure to take your time, do this right. And this is the final assembly. Here is an exploded view. All right, next article. Hank Pym, a pillar of Marvel Comics. As you know, he's Ant-Man. A continuation. And up next, we have this armor of Iron Man. On the back is Avengers vs. X-Men number 0 from May 2012. And a look at the next issue. I am going to work on assembly right now, and let's take a closer look. Here's a look at the assembly of the lower right flap. This is on a hinge joint, so when you screw it in, you should still be able to move it as shown. It's going to move like this. And I am now moving on to the next issue. Here's a look at issue 84, as well as the parts we're going to be using for assembly. The left flaps. First article, Fighting Thanos, Avengers Assemble. A continuation. And here's a look at assembly. Again, it's the same parts, just the left flaps. Here's a look at the parts here. Bag of screws. This is where it's going to go. And assembly. So that's what it's going to look like when you're done. Here is an exploded view. Next article, Fallen in Battle, Homicidal Iron Man. A continuation. And the Iron Patriot armor. On the back, we have Avengers Assemble number 1 from May 2012. And a look at the next issue. I'm going to assemble this right now. And let's take a closer look. Here's a look at the left flap, built the same way as the right one. This is hinged. These parts can move. And I am now moving on to the next issue. Up next is issue number 85, and here's a look at the parts we're going to be using for assembly. Inside this issue, we have War Machine Alien. First article, Galactic Iron Man Space Vacation. A continuation. Guardians of the Galaxy are also featured here. Here's a look at the steps for the build. Here's a breakdown of the parts and some of the steps. Here's a closer look at the parts, 2 bags of screws. And here's a closer look at assembly. Next part. We've completed this part in a previous box. And that's what it's going to look like when you're done. Here's an exploded view. And this is where it's going to go. Next article, AIM, acronym for destruction. A continuation. And we have War Machine Alien. On the back, we have A Babies vs. X Babies #1 from December 2012, and a look at the next issue. I'm going to work on assembly now, and let's take a closer look. Here's a look at the completed assembly. These flaps are now connected to the back, screwed in. So when this is done, you're going to have a piece that looks like this. These are on hinge joints, so you should be able to move it as shown. And I am now moving on to the next issue. Up next is issue 86, and here's a look at the parts we're going to be using for assembly. Inside is Holo Armor Iron Man. First article, Ultimate Mandarin, Unexpected Rival. A continuation. And here's a look at the parts and the build. This is a breakdown of the parts and the build. We're finally connecting all this together. Next part. Here's an exploded view. And the next article is Death Metal, Villains in Armor. A continuation. And now we have War Machine, Holo Armor. On the back is Ultimate Comics Iron Man #1 from December 2012, and a look at the next issue. I'm going to work on assembling now, and let's take a closer look. Here's a look at the completed assembly. These 3 parts here on the right. This is what we're not going to use for this step. The chest part is put together as shown. These parts here can close like that. So there's your look there. And I am now moving on to the next issue. Here's a look at the final part in this box. This is for the premium base. And you have assembly guide number 11, as well as the parts we're going to be using for assembly here. This is just the instructions inside, and we're going to continue where we left off from the last box. Here's a breakdown of all the parts and assembly. So I'm going to assemble this now, and let's take a closer look. Here's a look at final assembly. These back plates are on right here. These are plugged in right there. On the top, I went ahead and attached 2 of the caps, which I now placed on here, which you see. Overall, this is coming along greatly. As you can see, I'm moving far along. The chest is almost complete. A lot of it is built, except for the front here. The base is coming along great. I, for one, can't wait until Iron Man's finished so I can check out how I did when it's all done. Thank you again to FanHome for sending along for a review. It's greatly appreciated. I am Anthony Scott at toyhypeusa.com. Thanks for watching this video. To subscribe, check out the links right in the YouTube description. That'll send you over to the FanHome page, as well as the hyperlinks off of toyhypeusa.com. Thanks again for watching, and stay tuned for more coverage and reviews.